Alright, today I am gapping some rings for the 5.3 that's going to the Marauder. And what I usually do is I'll take the top and bottom rings off. What I had to do with these is I had to soak them a little bit in this super clean. Buddy Andy told me about it. So I took the top and bottom rings off, left the oil rings on, and soaked them in the bucket over there. Those are the odd ones over there right now. These are all the even number pistons. I just try to keep all the pistons in the same hole, so then the rings are in the same hole, and then the bearings are on the same throw on the crank. Even though it does look a little sloppy, I try to do it a little bit organized. I'm trying to do it quick because I know the throws, if you leave them open too much or too long, like to the air, even with some WD-40 on them, they'll start to rust a little bit. So what I do is I just take some paper towels and try to organize it a little bit. These are the initial numbers. It was 32 top, and then the bottoms were 28. And what I've always done for like the last 4 years that's had pretty good results is I make the bottom one a little bit looser, because the theory or the way of thinking I've heard is that on a boosted setup, the top ones obviously will grow some, the bottoms won't grow as much, but if there does get air trapped between the top and bottom, you want it to be able to escape past the bottom one so it doesn't float the top ring and then you lose compression. That's just what I've heard. I don't know. The 6 liter that's in this car right here is doing pretty good. I don't have any blow by, and it's the same way. I think I've got a lot tighter ring gap because the stock rings that were in it weren't as high miles as these ones, because this is a 5.3 and this is actually going to be bigger ring gap than in the 6 liter right here. So what I did with these is I just kept the top ones about 32. Number 4 is 31, but I just keep them about that much, 32ish, and then I just open up the bottom a little bit so it's more. These are just the initial measurements, and I took all the bottom ones to about 35, and I have this little eBay ring filer that I just screwed to my old desk that I got outside. And what you can do, what I've always done with good results, is grab a junk ring first, because if you've never done this before, you'll probably screw it up and break a ring like I did. You're trying to like do this number on the ring, squeeze it a little bit, with one hand, push it right up on those dowels, squeeze it, and then obviously you rotate that with the other hand, and just do a little bit at a time, because to get the feel of it. It's just what I've done. And then what I do is take a little 320, and then afterwards just knock the little tips off the outside diameter, and then the top right here a little bit, and then the inside, just to keep it from scratching the walls as you go down. And then to measure it, what I do is you just go down with it like that, and then rock it 90 degrees. And then I take an old junk piston from one of my previous learning experiences, and then you just push it, try to get it straight as possible, because if it's cocked a little bit like that, it'll give you a false reading. And then you just take one of your feeler gauges, this is a 35, and then just slide her down in there, and it touches the wall. So that's the lower ring, and the number 3, the number 3 hole. So that's how I gap the rings on the junkyard LS stuff that I take apart and let the magic out, so to say. Like I've said before, that's just what I do to sleep at night. And I know some people, they just take them stock, 200,000 miles, slam them in, have great results. I figured, took it apart anyway, so I might as well just do it. The oil rings were pretty seized up, so I just soaked those in the super clean, and then took a little Scotch-Brite to get most of it off. I didn't really care about where the oil rings go. I don't know if they're mated to the walls. I can't imagine it would matter where you put those, as long as you just put them back together right. So that's how I'm going to do the short block. Then I got one of those little like cheesy AutoZone tools that wraps around the pistons and the rings and compresses them, and then you have to, I like to put the deck, you know, straight up parallel to the ground, so I'll rotate that a little bit and then just come down with it, and make sure when you go back in with the piston, you know, with the open rod end, that you don't smack the crank, because then you dent the crank a little bit. But after that, after I do the short block, I can put the heads together that are nice and all cleaned up a little bit. Get the pack springs, L6 cam, put all that stuff in, and just plugging along on that. And that's the only way to. This one guy told me one time, it's so cliche, I'm sure some of you have heard it before, but you know, there's only one way to eat an elephant. It's just one bite at a time. You just gotta take little bites. So, little update. That's it for now. Bye.